Hi, Casey. It's Tim Hogenboom here with the June edition of the Executive Pastors Report. As always, this really is an opportunity for us to show you and invite you into what we're doing behind the scenes, how things are happening, the events happening, some of the finances, and even kind of what our staff are doing. So thanks for joining us. And let me just run through kind of what's been happening for the month of June, or at least up till today. So first off, we had F-56, and it just wrapped up for the year. And we're happy to say that there were no major injuries. Apparently this was a surprise. The kids had a chance to make new friends and old friends that got to be wrapped in toilet paper. But it was really a neat experience as we had 70 kids come through, and an opportunity for just a curriculum based around preteens and what it means kind of to do church and introduce them to church and kind of the aspects of it. So it just wrapped up, and it was just a great event for, again, the preteens involved. And so next year, they're already gearing up for next year and what it means for next year. Leaders are getting excited. Another ministry in our church where the funds go to help make Jesus known in our community. So that was F-56 for this year. I also wanted to bring your attention to Summer Connections. That's happening this summer. Coming out of COVID, we're still kind of going, there's a desperate need to connect. And so this summer we decided as a lead team and SMT team, hey, what does it look like this summer to focus on connecting the body together? And not only the body together, but actually connecting the body to the greater community at large. And so this summer, we're focused on just doing events that simply do that. We're talking about maybe kayaking, we're doing hiking and biking. There's a pool party somewhere involved in all that. But again, the idea is, what does it look like to connect as the body, connect together, and make Jesus known through that. So if you have any questions, go to the website. There'll be all the information is laid out there, the dates that these things are happening, the times and places. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to Tim Bussey, not Tim Hogenboom, Tim Bussey, and he'll be more than happy to take all your calls. Call him on his home number if you have to, but get the information so that you can be part of what it means to have Summer Connections. One feature that I wanted to add to kind of the monthly report, in fact, there's two features, this is one of them, is the feature called questions. And it says question mark, but really these are questions that you have brought forward to me. So over the last couple months, there's been a few questions. And I want to open up the invitation rather, to say that this again is an opportunity for us to connect with you and to bring you into some of the things that are happening. And so Sunday morning, we're limited in how much space we have to make these announcements and to talk about these things. So this is a more broader platform to kind of allow us to be able to address some of the things happening. And so one of the questions that has come up to me several times is, it goes something like this. Tim, have you ever thought about putting lines in the parking lot over there, right behind us? And people are usually going like, they want to encroach, they don't want to, but they're like, why don't we have line? Because if anyone has ever come here on a Sunday morning and see the parking situation, as Chris would say, it looks like a set of bad English teeth. It is all over the place. There is no rhyme, there is no reason. Cars like this and this, and for somebody who likes structure and likes lines and linear and things in place, suffice to say, every Sunday morning, I'm going, there has to be a better way. So, to answer your question, are we putting lines in the parking lot over there? We are dealing with it. Yes, absolutely. We are addressing it at senior management team. We fully are aware that this is something we need to work with. And so we're talking about how to address that properly. There's a few things that we need to wrap up with that. So it's not just a matter of just putting out lines. We want to be good stewards. And so we want to kind of do things together at the same time. So the answer is yes. We know it's a problem, and two, yes, we're working on it. So bear with us as this information comes to light. We'll be happy to share it with you what's happening. But to answer the question, yes, we know about the lines. So for those of you who are OCD and need things straight and in order in neat fashion, maybe park on the other side of the building where there's lines until we can get that addressed. I know I might have to, but yes, we are going to get addressed. So that's the lines. The other question that we had was, and again, people are a little bit trepidatious. They're going, Tim, could you tell me more about this camera person that seems to be roaming around Sunday mornings? And it's a great question because it's something new that we're doing at KAC. And so, this person is usually a volunteer staff or volunteer person rather. who has volunteered their time to capture what happens here. Now, the question is why? Why bother doing that? And there's two reasons. And the first one is to give people a desire to show people what the gatherings look like on Sunday morning. We all know the role that social media and digital assets play in our current lives. And so that's one way of being able to show kind of what's happening here on a Sunday morning. And so these cameras aren't focused on anyone specific. We're very careful about that. But we're trying to get a broader sense of what's happening here on a Sunday morning or on a Saturday night here in KC at the building. It's the other one is that we want to create, and I'm reading here from Ben, make sure I got my language right. We want to connect people through digital means, but we won't be conformed by it, but we do understand that it's an asset that we want to use and to showcase what happens, not only here, here at the church, on platforms like social media and elsewhere for our marketing tools down the road, and to have a pool of assets to draw from. So again, thank you for the question. Yes, we do have a person that is taking pictures, large span pictures, and again, trying to get a feeling of what happens here so we can use that for online platforms and the like. So, great question. If you have any more questions, come find me, come email, or come find me or bug me with email. It's tim@kamloops.com. And again, this is a great place for us to kind of address these questions that you might be having. So most likely, if you're asking a question, somebody else might be asking that same question, just they aren't saying it. So again, feel free to email me if you have any questions regarding kind of what's happening behind the scenes here or what's happening here at the building. Great. We want to add another segment here. Some of the staff here, again, we are working here 5 days a week, 6 days a week. We're evenings and weekends. There's lots of things happening, and we want to take a moment and just allow you and introduce you and invite you into our space to kind of see what's going on. And so, what we wanted to introduce was a monthly interview, whereby I would sit down with a staff member and just kind of bring you into our world, bring you into their world, maybe their history, their past, their passions, what they're excited about, and give you a space to get to know the staff. Again, we're a larger church, and so we don't get a chance to meet everybody all the time. This is an opportunity for us to kind of allow them to kind of express what's happening, and again, bring you into their world day in and day out here at KC. So, for our first one, we're going to be talking with Cody, and just sit back, watch, and hopefully it's meaningful to you. Hey, KC family. In an effort to bring you more clarity what happens, we just wanted to have a moment with the staff and to talk about kind of what happens behind the scenes, to kind of bring you into what each of the staff members does and how long they've been here and their vision, their heart. And so this is the inaugural one that we're doing with Cody. He's volunteered to be the guinea pig, if you will.
Voluntold, but
what's that?
We'll go with volunteer.
Yeah, you've been voluntold.
We'll
That's
volunteer,
right.
yeah.
And so in your act of being voluntold, we just want to kind of get to know what do you do and what takes up your day. So first off, how long have you been here for?
So I've been on staff here at KC for a little over 4 years now. For 2018, February.
And you started as?
I started as the associate youth pastor, which for some people who maybe were a little bit confused in the beginning was not Tim's assistant.
Which I actually also thought you were Tim's assistant.
Tim often when he first came on here, he was like, so what do you do?
What do you actually do?
So I started as Tim's associate youth pastor. I had responsibilities mostly with like the junior highs and some of the leadership program that was going on at the time. And since then have transitioned, as Tim has transitioned into his new role, I've transitioned into a new role. So now I oversee all youth and young adults. And in July of 2020, I think it was, also transitioned into like the next gen department head. So a few hats that I wear. Yeah.
Right. So what do you love about the role that you do now? Like what excites you, what drives you? What do you love about that role?
I'm all about trying to help the next generation be set up for success when it comes to their faith formation, when it comes to what does the church look like in the future. Primarily, like my big heart, my big love is with like youth. So once they hit grade 7 and through their graduation years, like that's my wheelhouse. I really love just hanging out with teens and helping them know that like where they are at is totally okay. and they don't have to necessarily be where like an adult wants them to be at that time. Like it's okay to grow and go through those pains. I mean, if I'm honest, I'm still growing through some of those pains myself, right? So I just want to be someone like I had when I was their age to just help journey with.
To journey with, I like that. Yeah. So I guess that leads me to believe, what do you do? What do you, I mean, other than Thursday nights? Like, do you do anything other than Thursday nights?
Well, there's a running joke with the youth when I show up on a Thursday night that I don't do anything but Thursday nights. They ask me that all the time, and I just kind of go along with it and say I actually just sit in my office and watch YouTube videos.
Cat videos.
Just scroll through Instagram. Learn new TikTok. No, if you ever see me on TikTok, just like that, you know I'm not doing well if I'm there. But no, I spend a lot of my weeks working with the team to kind of dream up what does the future look like. We're trying to think of new ways to actually help our students grow, connecting with volunteers and leaders, just trying to build up that team so there's more people who can build into our young people, and even just, you know, sitting with like Pastor Carlene and our children's team just to be like, hey, what are you guys doing? How can we help you? And it's awesome. It's so good.
There's that equipping piece that I think takes time, it takes energy, and it takes up a big portion. I mean, that among the administrative tasks and among the meetings of meeting with people and with your department. So in your role, what are some of the, you know, as you look over the year, what happens in the year, what are some of the high points of your year that you kind of work towards, or big milestones? Because it's not consistent every week, right? Like there's different seasons of ebbing and flowing throughout the youth department. What does that look like?
There's always, like you said, there's different seasons. So like beginning of September, when everyone's kind of returning back into school out of summer, those are big times for both youth and young adults, because we have just an influx of young adults coming to TRU, and so it's just trying to give spaces for people to land and connect with our young adult community, and with our students, getting everyone back and amped up for the following year. And then different seasons as we kind of get going with our students again. We have a few like high points in our year that we kind of started this year. One was our spring break lock-in. So a time when students are just like, hey, what are we doing? We got 2 weeks off. We're like, well, let's lock them in a church for 14 hours. And just see what happens and deal with the smells and the energy and the chaos. And that was a highlight of the year for sure. And so there's a lot of just kind of building and prepping towards that. And then even, just the different things throughout the week as we, I mean, the life of teens is complicated, right? So we're walking with students as they're journeying through challenging things, or walking through leaders as they're journeying. So there's seasons that are definitely more like busy or involved, but the life of a youth pastor is always full.
Other than doing games.
Other than doing games and watching YouTube. It's 36 hours of my week, so.
Okay, so here's the question. I think we've talked about this so often, but maybe it'd be great to hear it from your end of it. You know, we live in a world we want to equip and empower, we want to raise people up, and kind of journey what that looks like in your department. Like, how do you actually do that? How do you raise up leaders? How do you build into them? And you not doing everything, but rather equipping and empowering people and raising them up so they can go and continue to expand. So
absolutely. So we have with our youth leaders, we are doing like training with them and meeting with them, and we've got some like coaches for our life group leaders who are trying to help and journey with them and give them tools and just resourcing them. But even more with our students, trying to get them involved in what we do as much as we can. So the end of this year was actually the start of something that we really wanted to see happen, which we called Youth by the Youth. And for 4 straight weeks, there wasn't a single adult leader on the stage, and it was just all students who were like, I want to be involved in leading my friends, leading my peers to know and connect with Jesus and to have a fun time. And it was awesome. So we sat together with a bunch of them, planned out 4 weeks. They were leading worship. They were leading us and sharing their stories of what God's doing. And so a lot of that's just coming alongside of them and being like, hey, you can do this, right? Like, you as a 13, 14, 15, 16-year-old kid can have a say in this. And we've got students who are in tech stuff and
Yeah.
running cameras when recordings are happening. It's just great to see.
What are some of the challenges that your department or you even struggle with in terms of doing youth?
I think like being a teen is hard. It's complicated.
Yeah.
And it's been said that like it's harder to be a teen right now than any other time in the history, which is, I think is true. It's not like it's ever been easy to be a young person, but just with the number of different things, whether it's, technological advancements and stuff like that, like there's like phones and internet's like at fingertips. And so there's just a lot of like voices, competing voices.
Yeah.
And so that's always a struggle where, maybe not even a struggle. It's always a tension of like, okay, how do we not compete with these voices, but present a voice that is more appealing, that can actually answer some of the big questions that they have in their lives. So that'd be one of the challenges. Just like, how do we actually give a real voice of truth in the midst of everything that's going on in their lives? And I think too is one of the things that I've been really journeying with through this year is the whole thought of how do we do that in a way where they don't actually feel like they have to come here on a Thursday night to receive that.
Okay.
Because I never want students to feel like the only way we care about them is if they come to us on a Thursday night.
Okay.
So I know we've have students who are like doing sports, they've got extracurricular stuff, and coming to a youth night on a Thursday just isn't in their schedule.
Yeah.
And there's, growing up in youth and stuff like that, there was always that tension of like, well, if they really cared, they'd come to youth.
Sure.
And it was like, sure, but also like, they're kids. They've got a lot of stuff going on. So I don't necessarily think it's an issue of priorities, but more, how can we equip them to be like people who know Jesus and love Jesus wherever they're at? So how can they be that person on their sports team who's acting differently, living differently, and then probably actually having a way better witness than if they were just coming in here hanging out with us every Thursday, right? Yeah. So how can we meet them where they're at, love them when they're here, and wherever they are, really,
What's God been showing you as you lead youth and you're gonna, you lead the department and you're meeting with people, raising them up? What's God's been showing you in your heart in terms of where He's leading you in terms of this department and what you even?
Yeah, totally. It's funny because I was thinking about this a lot in the last little while, and I think for me, the real thing that's coming out of this like last season, this last year, last couple of years really is just the importance of preparing like today for what tomorrow looks like.
Okay.
What I mean by that is like, hey, how do we help young people become spiritually formed right now, so that when something happens down the road, so that when they graduate out of a youth program or they start their career, that it's not one little thing that cripples their faith. So I'm thinking through, how do we help our young people grow in these disciplines, which is one of the reasons that we started Essentials this year, which is our discipleship opportunity, a program that is to help our young people journey as apprentices of Jesus. And we started with a mod or a habit, we call it, on scripture, the Bible, like how do we read and study and engage with it. And then in the spring we had another one on prayer. So like two foundational things that we want to set our students up to really know and engage and discover like how core those two things can be in their faith formation, so that as they continue to grow and get to the place where they're sitting on this couch as a future youth pastor or as a youth leader or as an elder or wherever they end up, they have that like foundation that's firm, and it started now, rather than just showing up to have a really awesome time, which we want them to have a really awesome time, but that's not what Thursdays is all about. Like, I want them to have fun, but we want to really know and experience Jesus as we do it. So
if somebody wants to say, look, I want to help, I want to get involved, I want to do something, like this sounds amazing, and your heart and your vision and what you're sharing, it gravitates and pulls people in, what are some of the ways that people can come alongside and help with what's happening in youth and young adults?
I'd say like hear me say to you, you are never too old. You are never like irrelevant when it comes to building into the life of a young person. There are so many studies done that show like young people need like at least five adults in their life who can help them grow. So we've got leaders. I connect with a bunch of our students as well and some of our leaders, but that's not everyone. And that's five outside of their parents, right? And so what we need, and what I would love to see.
I like that stat.
I know, right? Like,
that's a gooder.
5. I don't like 5. It's just a weird number. If it was 7, I think it would be 7. 7 would be better.
7.
The perfect number of people
5.
is 7.
Okay, fair enough.
But it's realistically, it's just the more, like the more
true.
people we can have building into our young people is so important. And so, whether that's like, coming alongside as like, saying, hey, I'd be willing to like mentor a 13-year-old boy.
What does that look like to mentor?
What do I look like to mentor? I mean, that's a great question. I think a lot of it is just like being available. Okay. I know there's always this thought of, especially when it's like, hey, what does it look like to be a youth leader as an older adult? Because most of our leaders are like young adults, which is great, and I love it. But what I really would love is some like older, like almost like the parents' age of some of our kids coming in and being like, man, I love this age so much, and I want to help them. And what does it look like? I can tell you that like some of the questions that we get are like, well, I'm not cool enough and I don't relate. And which is funny because some of those comments come from like parents of students. It's like, you have kids, you can relate to them, right? So really like it looks like being able to have a student follow you as you follow Jesus. That's really what it comes down to. So if you have like a love for Jesus and you're living that in your life, realistically, you can come and mentor a kid and go out for coffee, watch a sport game, like go watch a play, whatever it looks like. It's just being able to have someone who then go, wow, I know that person loves Jesus, and I want my life to look like that when I'm their age. And it's great. Like I have a few people like that in my life from when I was younger, and it's awesome. They're still in my life today. So
if they want to get a hold of you, email is the best way to do it?
Yeah, email. Don't call me. The joke that I often say around staff is like, I don't answer calls. I'll let it go to voicemail and then I'll text you or email you back. But no, you can like call me at the office. Usually you'll get a voicemail or email me. That's probably the fastest way to get a hold of me. But yeah, would love to hear from you. If you're interested in whether it's like young adults or you just would love to come alongside teens and journey with them, I'd love to hear from you because I think we need more. We need more of that here at KC. So would love to hear from you.
Final question.
Yeah.
How can we pray for you?
I think, for me personally, like as you're seeing this, as we're having this conversation, I'm gearing up to head to a week of Eagle Bay. Yeah. And I'm so excited for that. It's been 2 years since we've been able to have kids at camp. So I'm really excited for that. So prayer for me as I, get to spend 5 days just kind of working through the Bible and being like, hey, here's a way to live that is better than what you might be living right now with the teenagers there. And I think, for us as a youth and young adults team, just really prayer for what does it look like to even continue to reorient ourselves so that we're not chasing something big in the sense of like, oh, how many people can we fit in our thing? But how can we actually set our people up for tomorrow instead of just thinking about getting them in today? So I think just, prayer for that because I'm continuing to work through that in my own headspace and stuff. So yeah, it's good.
Thanks, Cody.
Appreciate it. Good. Thanks.
Appreciate everything you do. We're praying for you.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you.
Church, hopefully that was helpful to kind of give you the insight as to where we're at with our staff. And this will be happening, we want to do this once a month. Allow you and bring you in to kind of the back workings of what happens here at staff with the KUC staff day in and day out as they work weekends and with events day and night. We want to bring you in on that. And so hopefully over the next little while that'll be helpful to you as we invite you in. Okay, so That'll to say. Finances. Now, some of you are going to be at your seat going, tell me more about finances. And others are going, I'm good without. So this is our chance to kind of expand. We have limited time on the weekends, like I said. So this is our chance to kind of expand that conversation and bring you in numbers to kind of what's happening behind the scenes with the finances. So first off, church, well done. Well done, because you've been so generous and so kind. And so, as we look at kind of what you have done, we're looking at Ukraine Fund at $28,000. That's been so generous, so thank you. We're looking at the Period Promise. That was another $3,000. And then Elizabeth Fry, that was another $4,500. And that's your generosity making Jesus known in our community. So thank you for that. So as we're getting to the end of the year, again, just a quick update. Now, these are the May financials for in June. So as of May 31st, where do we stand? Well, first off, I think these numbers are backwards. Where we should be is that at the end of the day for May, we actually had a $4,000 gain or $4,000 loss, not $11,000 loss. So I think that's reversed. So that'll to say we ended up ahead of budget where we expected to for the month of May. And as we wrap up the year, where are we going to land? So this is our year to date. So our year to date up to the end of May again was 1.68 for the budget with 1.79 for expenses, and we had a total loss expected of 114,000. The actual is 1.6 million with expenses of just about the same thing with actual of a $5,000 loss. Now, some of you are going to go, whoa, hold on a sec. What happened here? What's this number all about? Why is it so big? Why do we forecast a $114,000 loss? Hold on for a minute. Let me help you out. So, first off, we had 2 budget cycles this year. The first cycle was the first half of the year. The second cycle, obviously, the second half of the year. When we did the first budget, we only looked forward to December, and we did the best we could to forecast where we're going to be, and we actually end up higher than we expected to. So we did better. We ended up better than expected. When we did the second budget, we actually took where we landed for the end of the first half, and then built the second budget out to there. When you're looking at these numbers, you're actually this 114. That's actually those 2 budgets put together. So it actually looks worse, I guess, than what it really was. So that's 114,000 that we projected. That's why the number is so big. That's why that one's such a difference between the 2 numbers. 5,000 versus 114,000. Because, again, the 114,000 was the first budget, and the second budget put together, not the second budget built on where we actually were at the end of the first budget. If that's all confusing, you're going, Tim, I have no idea what you just said. That's fine. Email finance@kamloopsalliance.com, and Jen will be more than happy to walk you through the details of that. So, where do we expect to be end of the year? Well, actuality, for the end of the year, we expect to be a $160,000 loss as far as the budget goes. Budgeted, 2 numbers together, budget, $160,000 loss. But, like I said, in actuality, where do we expect to be based off the first half of the year being better than we thought, and then the second budget together? We actually expect to be at a $40,000 loss for the end of the year. That's where we expect to be at this point. So we are praying and trusting that God will continue to be faithful and that He will provide for us in providing a balanced budget. That's what we're hoping and we're praying for the end of the year. And as we look into next year, as we look into next budget, believing that God will increase. The board just approved the budget last night, and the budget was for a 6% increase off this year's budget. And so, church, we encourage you to continue to give and to be continue to give and to trust as we trust God to provide for our finances moving forward. So, with that all said, church, we're so grateful for the giving, and again, believing that God will provide the $40,000 needed for the end of the year. Just to give you a quick update in terms of where we're trending over the budget versus the actual giving to general. So right now we're running at 96% of our budget forecast. So church, thank you again. We are so grateful. We're so blessed to be in ministry together. And so as we come to the end of this year, would you pray with us? Would you consider to give that we can come through on a balanced budget and continue on to make Jesus known in our community. Church, thank you for joining, and I look forward to next month.